Earlier in my career, I reckon it was about 1996, I came out to New Zealand for the first time. I was 28 and I got the opportunity to be part of setting up a recruitment business here in New Zealand. It was the New Zealand operations of a London-based recruitment company. And I'd always been curious about New Zealand, and I thought, the other option was to go and work in Sydney. And I wasn't really that excited about big cities, so I chose New Zealand. And I was really excited about the idea of building a new business from scratch. My dad had been an entrepreneur his whole life, and I thought, well, someone else is paying me to start a business, I'll go for that. And I'd come out with another lady who was actually my old boss in London. We worked together in recruitment in London for a competitor firm, and she'd moved out to New Zealand. She was older than me. I considered her a bit of a mentor. But when it came down to who's going to run the business, she said, well, I don't actually want to. I want to go and start to wind down things a bit. I want to go and start a family. So why don't you be the boss, Digby? I thought, oh, that sounds cool. National manager of a recruitment firm at 28 years old. Look at me go. So I said yes, and we started with one office in Wellington and quickly grew to another office in Auckland as well. And over the next couple of years, I was flying every week between Auckland and Wellington, spending no more than 2 or 3 days at a time in one place. And being an expat, being an immigrant from Australia originally and coming to live here, I didn't really know that many people except the professional people I was working with. And it turned out to be quite a hollow existence. Yet I was driven to prove myself that yes, I could be a national manager, particularly to the boss, my former boss that I was now boss of. And I just went harder and harder and harder and harder. At one point I was drinking 6 Red Bulls a day, just to keep going. And I remember one time I'd been on a bit of a binge of those and I couldn't sleep. I got up at 3 in the morning and went into the Auckland office and started working. And it was just this crazy existence. I was out of my depth. But I was driven because I wanted to show that I could do this. And hey, national manager is a pretty cool thing to have on your CV, right? There was a point where I'd gone away for a long weekend to the Coromandel. And I got a call from the office saying, this client is saying you'd promised to send him all these CVs of candidates and he hasn't got them and he's furious. What are you going to do about it? And I had no idea what I was going to do about it. That night I woke up again 2 or 3 in the morning in tears, and I was with my partner and I just turned over to her and sobbed, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And the next day I was back in Auckland and I remember calling my boss in London and saying, I've got to stop. I was a complete wreck. I was sobbing, and he gracefully understood and said, yeah, take the time you need. And I didn't go back into the office for probably 6 weeks. In fact, I was so scared to leave the house because of the disapproval I feared from my former colleagues, bumping into them on the street, that I just stayed at home and hung out the washing, basically was a hermit. And eventually I came out of that period and took some time out. The lesson that I carry 30 odd years later from that period was you've got to define what success means to you. If you let someone else decide it, you'll be a leaf in the wind and you'll be driven by things that aren't intrinsically satisfying, and they can lead to all sorts of horrible experiences, one of which I had. Do I regret it? No, because it set me on the path I'm still on today, which is a path I love, the work I love, the way I live I love. And it was like an early midlife crisis. Not that I really believe in that, but this idea of forcing me to stop and go, what do I really want? It was a gift that I wish I hadn't have to go through, but I'm glad I did. What does success mean to you? Everyone's different, right? It took me a while to work it out, and it's not an easy question to answer. But you've got to answer it. What does success mean to you?